Hi, so I'm with Gary Portuesi, who's going to tell us a little bit about the trip that we're raffling off as part of our gala this year that supports the Columbus Citizens Foundation Scholarship Program. And I love Italy for many reasons, but I especially love Sicily, in part because it's where my mother's family came from, but also because I once spent a magical month in Sicily circumnavigating the island and realizing that as beautiful and interesting as Italy is, Sicily had an equal amount of unending opportunities for, the urbanity of Palermo and Siracusa, the amazing Greek and Roman ruins on the island, and also the kind of culture that's hidden in the mountains of Sicily. So Sicily has mountains, seacoast, archaeological treasures, museums, a famous opera house, and there's still more to discover. So I hope you're going to tell us a little bit about why you love Sicily and why you think everybody should buy one of the raffle tickets for this particular trip.
Sounds good. And my favorite topic in the world is to talk about Sicily, of course. So I'm happy to do that. So my company started as Authentic Sicily 20 years ago, and it evolved over the years to eventually incorporate the rest of Italy and then other countries that we serve. But I think you hit on something really important, Lisa, which is this whole notion of diversity and the fact that Sicily is just kind of its own entity. And the locals jokingly call Sicily the continent, and for many reasons. Partly, sometimes people disparagingly look upon Sicily as like, oh, you're not Italian, you're Sicilian, and the Sicilians take it as a sense of pride, and it's like, yes, indeed, and it's because it's a very distinct culture. Has a very distinct history and has a very distinct place in the world historically. If you think about the island, it's the largest island in the Mediterranean, right? Right smack in the center between Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Gibraltar, if you go all the way west. And anybody who wanted to control the Mediterranean over the course of history had to control Sicily. So what does that mean? It means that there were so many conquerors over the centuries, from the Greeks to the Romans and the Byzantines, the Arabs, the Normans, and eventually the Spanish, who ruled for over 500 years, all the way to the Germans in World War II. So the point in all that is that each conqueror left behind a layer of history, and it's not just the archaeology, the buildings and the architecture. Where in the span of one day, you'll see an Arab mosque and a Greek temple and a Norman castle and a Spanish Baroque church. It's extraordinary, the layers of history. And I like to say, arguably, the only other place in that area that has more history than Sicily is probably Israel. But point in all this being is that anybody who goes to Sicily will have an extraordinary time exploring the diversity of the island. So the incredible archaeological parks, the iconic temples of Agrigento and Segesta and Selinunte, the amazing and vibrant city that Palermo is, the coastline, the islands, the outer islands even, to explore, and the food and wine experiences, some of the most innovative and interesting winemaking that's happening all over, anywhere in Italy, I should say, is happening, in my opinion, in Sicily, and particularly in Mount Etna. And then, the incredible UNESCO World Heritage sites. There are, I believe, more UNESCO World Heritage sites in Sicily than there are in any other region of Italy. So the richness just keeps going. I could just wax poetic for days and days.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second and say, you mentioned the food and wine and the culinary experiences. I know part of this trip is some opportunities to experience the gastronomia of Sicily. And so what is it like to have a private visit to a winery, for instance?
Yeah, sure. The incredible tour that we put together has all sorts of culinary experiences, from visiting local producers in a small mountain village town, to going to one of the world-class wineries and one of the boutique wineries. So the experience is essentially meeting with the family that runs the winery, because they tend to be family run, and they're usually noble families from the region, from the area, that have turned their barrio or their masseria into these incredibly beautiful centers of winemaking, and invite people in to have not just a taste of wine, because in Sicily, wine is always accompanied by food. So it's not just about tasting the wine, but it's about having a culinary experience. And usually that means having a local, I would call him a local chef, but not an actual chef who's been to culinary school, but somebody who's local and comes and cooks right on site and makes the most extraordinary pastas and side dishes, and and utilizing the local cheeses made from the local shepherds. So it's each and every culinary experience that we put together includes, we'll say, the village. It takes a village, and that's the case in Sicily.
Well, we don't want to give away too many of the details of the trip. And I, for one, am buying my raffle ticket right away because I want to win this trip. But on the assumption that I probably won't, and some lucky winner will have the experience of being in Sicily. Is there one thing you would call out on this trip as something that really is unique to the trip you've put together for Columbus Citizens Foundation?
Yeah, sure. We've included a couple of really extraordinary insider access experiences, we'll call them. So shall I give away one or two?
Just give away half of one so we whet people's appetites for buying those raffle tickets.
All right. So imagine one of the UNESCO World Heritage sites. Actually, there are two UNESCO World Heritage sites that we incorporate into this program that you'd have an incredible insider access experience. One is culinary based, and one is a private concerto. And I'll leave it at that. How's that?
Well, that sounds pretty fantastic. Well, we can't wait to be on site for the gala, but people can buy raffle tickets ahead of time, and we're going to let everybody know how to do that. And we can't wait to hear how the lucky winner feels about the experience they had when they get back from Sicily. So thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Lisa, and we can't wait to host the winners in Sicily.